What if the most unexpected courtroom escape happened right under everyone's nose? What if a convicted criminal made a break for it, and no one saw it coming? What if he jumped from a dangerous height or, worse, managed to grab a gun and open fire in the courthouse? Get ready for the wildest courtroom escapes of all time. First, meet Gerald Hyde, who was just convicted of possession. You won't believe what he did next. It'll leave you speechless. Stay with us to find out what happened to the craziest criminals who pulled the wildest courtroom escapes. Gerald Hyde. Meet Gerald Hyde, a man who turned a routine court appearance into a dramatic escape scene straight out of a movie. Convicted of methamphetamine possession, Hyde was being processed at the Benton County Justice Center in Washington when he saw an opportunity and seized it. It was 2015, and Hyde, surrounded by other convicts, shuffled to the back of the line as if blending into the crowd. But this was no ordinary shuffle. With a few calculated steps, Hyde slipped into an empty courtroom, a bold move that set the stage for his daring escape. Once inside, Hyde shed his inmate shirt, cleverly using it to mask his handcuffs. He sprinted through the courtroom barefoot, abandoning his telltale orange prison shoes. Each move was calculated to make him less identifiable. Then, in a jaw-dropping moment, Hyde strolled right out of the courthouse's front door as if he belonged. Freedom was within his grasp, or so he thought. Hyde's breakout was as brief as it was brazen. 2 hours later, his run came to an abrupt end when officers recaptured him. His taste of freedom earned him more than a few raised eyebrows and a new charge: second-degree escape. For his short-lived adventure, the 24-year-old was slapped with an additional sentence of 2 years and 2 months in prison. While Gerald Hyde's escape attempt was bold, cunning, and almost cinematic, it was far from flawless. His stunt might have been quick, but justice proved quicker. Nicholas Garrison. In Greenfield, Ohio, 34-year-old Nicholas Garrison made a bold and reckless escape attempt that turned a routine courthouse transfer into a life-altering drama, leaving one deputy seriously injured. Sentenced for drug possession, Garrison seized a fleeting opportunity during a courthouse transfer to make a break for freedom. As deputies prepared to escort him to jail, Garrison yanked free and bolted toward the stairs. The dramatic moment, captured on courthouse surveillance footage, shows him sprinting down the steps with officers in hot pursuit. In a desperate bid to stop the escape, one deputy hurled himself over the stair railing in an attempt to tackle Garrison mid-flight. However, the maneuver ended in disaster, with the officer suffering 4 broken ribs and a severe concussion. Meanwhile, Garrison disappeared into the streets, leaving behind chaos and a sense of urgency among law enforcement. Local authorities quickly launched a manhunt, urging the public to report any sightings of the fugitive. For 4 tense days, Garrison evaded capture, sending shockwaves through the Greenfield community. Eventually, the chase ended at a secluded motel where officers apprehended Garrison. His fleeting freedom came at a steep price. He was handed a 6-year prison sentence, far harsher than his original charge for drug possession. The injured deputy's actions, though unsuccessful, highlighted the extraordinary risks that law enforcement personnel take daily to uphold justice. His injuries, broken ribs and a severe concussion, required a lengthy and painful recovery, symbolizing the physical toll of split-second decisions in high-stakes scenarios. This dramatic escape attempt, and its aftermath, also sparked discussions about the need for heightened courthouse security and the unpredictability of law enforcement situations. The incident stands as a stark reminder of how quickly routine operations can spiral into chaos. "Officer, he got what he deserved. If I had the chance, I would have killed him." His chilling declaration left no doubt about his dangerous mindset. During his pre-trial hearing, the judge set Wright's bond at a steep $50,000, a clear signal that he was headed straight for prison. But Wright had other plans. As court officers escorted him through the courthouse, he seized a split-second opportunity and bolted, launching into an escape attempt straight out of an action movie. With adrenaline surging, Wright dashed toward a courthouse barricade. In a jaw-dropping feat, he leapt over it with the grace of a professional athlete, determined to leave the law behind. For a moment, it seemed like he might pull off the impossible, But fate and law enforcement had different plans. Wright landed directly into the waiting arms of pursuing officers. His desperate bid for freedom triggered a chaotic scuffle involving 7 officers who eventually overpowered him. His bond was revoked instantly, ensuring there would be no second act to his courthouse performance. Zeus Martinez, widely known by the moniker Enigma, cemented his place in true crime history with a series of audacious escapes, the most infamous of which occurred in 1977 in a California courtroom. Martinez, a murder suspect at the time, shocked the nation by overpowering his guards, seizing a firearm, and making a daring break for freedom. This incident became one of the most remarkable jailbreaks in U.S. history, drawing significant media attention. Although recaptured and sentenced to life imprisonment, the dramatic episode left an indelible mark in the annals of criminal history. His criminal exploits extended far beyond a single escape. He faced numerous charges, including terroristic threats and stabbing a man, highlighting a long history of violent offenses. A particularly gripping example unfolded during a bond hearing, where his bail was set at $1 lakh. As he was escorted to a transport bus alongside other defendants, Martinez noticed an opportunity. Though handcuffed, his feet were unrestrained, allowing him to make a sudden sprint. He darted past the guards and headed toward the courthouse parking lot, sparking a chaotic chase. The dramatic scene, captured on video, underscored the tension and unpredictability of his escape attempts. In the parking lot, Martinez demonstrated remarkable agility, evading deputies and even leaping over a fence in a desperate bid for freedom. For a moment, it seemed he might succeed. However, later that day, his luck ran out. A vigilant citizen alerted law enforcement after spotting Martinez hiding beneath her house. The authorities acted swiftly, recapturing him and returning him to custody. Following this escape attempt, Martinez's legal troubles deepened. His bond was increased to $5 lakh, and he faced an additional charge of third-degree escape, further lengthening his already substantial list of criminal offenses. The severity of these consequences reflected the gravity of his repeated defiance. His escapes remain captivating tales of desperation and defiance, highlighting his ability to exploit moments of vulnerability in law enforcement and the challenges of ensuring courtroom security. Eddie Villalobos: what happens when a murder suspect is unshackled in court? The answer stunned everyone present at the Hillsboro, Oregon, courtroom in 2021, where Eddie Villalobos was on trial for second-degree murder, accused of a brutal stabbing. What should have been a routine court session turned into a pulse-pounding real-life thriller. As 2 deputies escorted Villalobos into the courtroom, protocol required removing his hand and leg restraints to prevent jury prejudice. Within seconds of being unshackled, Villalobos exploded into action. In a daring leap, he cleared a chair and bolted for the exit, leaving stunned onlookers frozen in shock. Deputies sprang into pursuit as Villalobos blitzed down hallways and staircases, making a beeline for the courthouse lobby. In a chilling moment, he slammed the exit door behind him. He was free. A man facing life in prison had just outsmarted his guards. With a dangerous suspect on the loose, the Washington County Sheriff's Office launched an intense 2-hour manhunt. Every passing second amplified the urgency. Then came a crucial tip: someone was trying to break into an apartment nearby. Officers raced to the scene, hearts pounding. Inside the apartment, they found Villalobos hiding under a blanket in a closet, breathless and defeated. His high-stakes escape ended in quiet surrender. After his recapture, Villalobos faced new charges, including first-degree burglary and second-degree escape. Months later, justice caught up with him. He was convicted of execution and sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 25 years. The courtroom escape remains a stark reminder of how even a brief lapse in security can spiral into a heart-stopping ordeal. Let me know if you'd like me to continue or revise anything. A brief lapse in security can spiral into a heart-stopping ordeal. Larry Darnell Gordon. Larry Darnell Gordon, 44, of Coloma, Michigan, was being brought from his holding cell to a hearing at the Berrien County Courthouse in St. Joseph on a Monday in July 2016 when he seized a gun from a sheriff's deputy, shot 2 bailiffs, and briefly attempted to take hostages, authorities said. Other bailiffs and law enforcement personnel arrived on the scene where Gordon was fatally shot, according to the Berrien County Sheriff's Office. The man who killed 2 bailiffs before being fatally shot by other cops in a Michigan courtroom was facing life in prison on accusations of kidnapping, drugging, and violating a 17-year-old girl. Moments after Gordon had been removed from courtroom 315, a security camera recorded sounds of a struggle from an adjacent holding area, according to police. Gordon assaulted, disarmed, and injured Deputy James Atterbury. Bailiffs Ronald Kinzel and Joseph Zangaro raced to the scene and were shot. "He's got a gun!" and "Help me!" were heard from the holding room. Someone was heard calling at Gordon to put down his rifle. There were around a dozen individuals inside the courtroom. Some ran through a door, while others hid behind benches until court workers told them to go. In addition to the 2 seasoned bailiffs who lost their lives, one of whom was the courthouse's chief of security, Sheriff Paul Bailey initially stated Monday that Gordon was not shackled. However, at a news conference later, he clarified that Gordon was handcuffed in front of his body, not behind his back, and that he was able to take Atterbury's revolver. According to accounts, Gordon stated in a letter to his ex-wife that he was fleeing or would die trying because he did not want to spend the rest of his life in prison. The letter, discovered after investigators searched a Berrien County jail unit where he had been kept prior to his July 11th appearance at the county courtroom, read, "I'm not trying to die, and I don't want to. I'm just trying to get free, and I'll die trying. Getting free is the only chance at being able to see you. Hopefully I make it." Tracy Moy and MaryAnn Morrissey. It was a scene straight out of a thriller at the courthouse in Columbus, Ohio. 2 women were about to face their fate, 39-year-old Moy, indicted for aggravated theft, and 40-year-old Morrissey, charged with drunk driving. But neither of them planned on heading to prison. In a move no one saw coming, the 2 women, shackled together at the wrist, stealthily positioned themselves at the back of the line, waiting for their chance. Then, in a flash, they made their move. In an audacious attempt to flee, they slid under the prison bus, hiding just beneath it. The officers, completely oblivious, continued loading more inmates, none the wiser to the missing prisoners. With the bus doors closed, the engine roared to life, and the convoy rolled out onto the streets. But the 2 fugitives weren't out of danger yet. When the bus came to a stop at a red light, the unthinkable happened. Morrissey somehow managed to free herself from her shackles. With adrenaline coursing through her veins, she bolted from the scene. It was the perfect getaway, or so she thought. Fate had other plans. A sharp-eyed private detective passing by at just the right moment spotted Morrissey running. Without missing a beat, he pursued her. Within moments, she was caught, cuffed again, and handed back to the police. Meanwhile, Moy, still hiding, was found crouched in the bushes along the freeway. But the escape had taken its toll. A broken back from the chaotic scramble sent her straight to the hospital. When the dust finally settled, the 2 women who had dared to escape in broad daylight were hit with additional charges. Their wild bid for freedom had failed spectacularly, but their story would go down in Columbus crime lore. Joey Watts. Joey Watts thought he could outsmart the system, but his plan for freedom came crashing down in the most shocking way imaginable. On trial for threatening to kill a woman and facing charges of aggravated assault and felony firearm possession, Watts sat quietly beside his attorney at the Grant County Courthouse in Arkansas, waiting for the jury to deliberate. The courtroom was unusually relaxed. The prosecutor chatted with a few women, the court clerk was absorbed in her phone, and there was no sign of any court officers. That's when Watts saw his chance. In a move that stunned everyone, he got up from his seat and casually strolled out of the courtroom. No one stopped him. Once outside, he walked down the stairs, exchanged a few words with his family, and picked up the pace. Without hesitation, he made his escape through the courthouse's main door. The entire jury was still inside, unaware of the audacious break for freedom happening right under their noses. But Watts wasn't home free just yet. As he sprinted down the street, desperate to avoid capture, back inside the courthouse, the jury found him guilty on all counts. His time on the run was short-lived. The very next day, authorities tracked him down. Turns out he'd been out on bond, which meant he was free to roam the courthouse unrestrained. No guards were present, thanks to a staffing shortage. It didn't end there. Watts had help. His brother, seated behind him, had signaled 2 accomplices to follow suit. As soon as Watts bolted, they moved quickly, leaving the courthouse together. The police eventually caught up with him. Watts was sentenced to 36 years, 10 for the murder attempt and 26 for his firearm possession. His desperate, daring escape was caught on camera, making headlines as a bold attempt to avoid jail. But it ultimately failed, a reckless dash for freedom and a reminder that justice always catches up.